By the age of 32, Alexander the Great had conquered much of the ancient world. His victories extended southward from Greece all the way to Egypt and east to India. But in the summer of 323 BC, in the midst of preparations for an assault on the Arabian Peninsula, after an extended drinking binge, Alexander died at Babylon. He had conquered the world, but he couldn't control himself. A man's greatest battles are often on the inside. My name is Tom Miller. I'm pastor of Central Assembly in Superior, Wisconsin. And this is Fuel for the Fire. It's volume 658, The War Within. Alexander the Great was a brilliant military strategist and an accomplished warrior. Nations, kingdoms, and armies fell before him. In a very literal sense, he was ruler of the world by his early 30s. He had won every battle he ever fought, except the war within. Almost every day, someone in a position of power loses the battle with the inner man and fails on a grand scale. Political leaders bow out after having an affair. Corporate CEOs succumb to greed and fall from the lap of luxury to the stark reality of a prison cell. Athletes with disciplined bodies and million-dollar contracts still somehow test positive for drugs. The public victory crumbles around the battle lost on the inside. Like Alexander, David was a great king. He could rule a nation and conquer a giant with his slingshot, but he struggled with the war taking place in his heart. David lusted after Bathsheba, acted on his desires, and conspired to cover up his sin. He lost the war within, and the consequences were grave. Sin is deceptive, sin is intoxicating, and sin is stupefying. Sin and its promise of pleasure cause us to take risks that defy logic. The end is often bitter and filled with regret. The key to winning the war within is to crucify the desires of the flesh. For if you live after the flesh, the Bible says, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the flesh, you shall live. We mortify the works of the flesh by first being born again and then by allowing the spiritual nature within us to thrive. Ephesians 4 says, put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. We all have two natures struggling within us. Like dogs in a fight, they vie for dominance, and the one you feed will move into the place of power. The nature you starve will weaken and die. The true measure of a person is the secret battle taking place on the inside. You may be undefeated on the outside, but it will all crumble around the ruins of the war within. That's the way I see it. And that's a little fuel for the fire. And remember, I love you guys.